Try again.
Yeah. So yeah, what do you think about what's happening in Australia with the rubber bullets and the mandates?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's diabolical. It's who'd have thought it? Who would have believed it? You know, a few months ago. And what's happening in Australia is clearly going to come to other places. You know, we've seen riots around the world. I can't think of all the countries now, but France, Italy, Germany. Yeah, so you know, this tyranny is spreading around the globe. This is a global event after all. This is not a national thing. It's not just about Australia. It's not just about any other country. So yes, yeah, I think it's really bad. I think we have to do everything we can to either stop it or push it back as far as we can until some sense emerges from it all.
And how do you think that will be like achieved? How do you think we will win it if we do? How do you think this all will be won by the protesters?
Well, that's a good question, and I don't personally have the answer. All I know is we have to do everything in our power to try and stop it. As the saying goes, all evil has to do to triumph is for good people to do nothing. So if you do nothing, then it's going to come, that's for sure. If we do something, it still may come, but it may not. We may slow it down, we may stop it, and that's the best we can hope for right now.
Do you think that it might be a sort of the government are trying to make kids suffer with sensory deprivation, so then they are traumatized later on when it's all fizzled out and everything, if it does?
I would say yes, I would say all of those things. I mean, this is on so many levels. They're not just doing one thing for one reason, they're doing many things, but for one reason. And one reason is, of course, at the bottom line, there's depopulation, there's utter control, economic meltdown. Can we just slightly? Yeah. So it's a number of reasons, but they're basically, in a nutshell, the powers that think they be are trying to change the world, the way we live, the way that we think, the way we do things. Our very DNA is being changed with in most of the along with all the other poisonous and toxic ingredients. They can't possibly be doing any good. All the evidence is they're doing bad, harm, and death. You know, you only have to look at the death figures, and they're just a fraction of what the real figures would be if we had a sensible reporting system. So yes, all of what you said, and no doubt much more. Yeah, it's a complete war on humanity.
And how do you feel about how in the Netherlands they opened fire on protesters, and do you think that's going to come here at some point?
Yes, I think we should look at what's happening in other countries, because that's our cue and that's our clues to what's coming next. But if we keep looking just in front of our noses, we're never going to predict and be prepared for anything. So we should look at these things and say, yeah, if that can be in the Netherlands, that can and will come here. They obviously they do these things in one place, one location. They run it and see how much pushback they get, and if they get little resistance or none, they'll push it further and wider. You know, they've got a job to do. They want to carry out this plan of theirs in many facets and many in great detail and many different reasons, but they have one end. It's of course the grand reset, the new world order, whatever you want to call it, but it's a massive global change on the way we've always lived our lives, the way we want to live our lives, and the way we would like to in the future. And it's going to take some time, so they're going to try this one place first and then another. So yes, we should look, listen, learn, predict and act.
And how do you feel about the mandates of the and the
Yeah, terrible. The one thing, clearly they do absolutely nothing to prevent it. They're worse than useless, but they are very harmful on the other side. They stop they prevent oxygen getting to the brain. They prevent oxygen from getting to your body, the required amount. They cause all sorts of problems because you're breathing in your own exhalation, your own carbon monoxide. So you're going to get bacterial pneumonia, you're going to get hypoxia, and ultimately long-term brain damage. So yeah, they're a terrible idea. They do little or no good, but they do great harm. As for the mandate on so I'm glad you asked me that question, because that really is the biggest thing for me. You know, it's the one thing, you can take that off and maybe not too much harm is done, but cannot be taken out. So before anybody wants to put the they should be asking the questions, what is in this thing? You know, what's the harm, what's the side effects, what's the long-term effects, what's the actual good of it, does it actually protect, will it do any good at all? And you know, ask these kind of questions before they put it in, because once it's in, you cannot take it out.
I had a question, but I've forgotten it. How do you feel about that have been introduced around certain areas?
Yeah, terrible idea, isn't it? But they're coming. I think they're linked to the national identity and global passport identity cards that the you know, the New World Order wanted for a long time. They tried them in 2010, they didn't work. They tried in the past, and this is probably their best chance to get those in place. They're going to piggyback on the back of and you know, it's a safety issue, but clearly they're going to gather information and carry information, huge amounts of information on microchips about you, your medical history, and they'll probably carry other information as well, like your economic well-being, your social crediting, and maybe your records, criminal records, and everything else they will carry. So your whole identity will be exposed to the system, and that system will then be able to control how you do things, where you go, when you go, and everything else. So yeah, it's a massive attempt at control and information gathering and information using. So yeah, a terrible idea. We should never allow it. Absolutely not.
And I'm just thinking of a news report I read quite a while back. One of it wasn't from the UK or anything, but a prime minister or a president somewhere. I think it may have been Sweden or Switzerland, but I can't remember quite well.
I mix those two up.
But they said if no one complies, or if there's a lack of complicitness in the population, they'll them in their sleep. What are your thoughts on that?
They'll
them in their sleep, break into their houses.
They would say that, wouldn't they? I would say to them, good luck with that one. No, they're bluffing. If enough people, and it doesn't have to be everybody, but if enough sensible, awake people just, you know, wake up and smell the coffee and say, hey, whoa, hang on a minute, you know, I'm not sure about this. I think I want to wait. I think I want to get more information. If enough people were to do that, yeah, it would grind to a halt, and then that would give the rest of the people enough time to, you know, get fully informed. And anybody who's done half their homework would really think seriously about having this thing, which does little good but is potentially great harm. And don't forget, one of the main side effects is death. Let's not forget that.
And do you think that people who have woken up and are only just waking up should also think about how many lies the government has told previous to this?
How many lives?
How many lies the government told previous?
Oh, well, if it comes from government, it's bound to be a lie, isn't it? I mean, that's unfortunately what governments have evolved into. I can't remember when they last told the truth, to be honest. As a good rule of thumb, if the government tells you it's good for you, then it's probably bad for you. And if they say it's bad for you, it's probably good for you. So, you know, it's so endemic from government that unfortunately, it's usually the reverse of what they say is something or somewhere near the truth. That's where we are, I'm afraid. So you really got to make your own mind up about things. Get your information from trusted sources, and there are plenty out there, and you have to be selective, and you have to be careful, you know, in where you get your information. Get it cross-checked. It's very simple. and the truth always connects, it always correlates, it always comes right in the end, whereas lies always fail. So, you know, be confident, be wise, and stick to the truth.
Thank you. Awesome interview.